Holy cow! I can't remember the last time I've laughed that much during an episode of MLP. Nearly every scene had a chuckle-worthy moment while at the same time playing with your expectations. You wouldn't think a story focused on Rarity opening up a new shop in Manhattan would have all that much going for it, but sure enough, MLP goes the extra mile with their creative writing and humorous dialogue. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a contender for the top 5 episodes of Season 6 based solely on the entertainment factor alone, and we still have 17 entries to go. In fact, the Saddle Row review might actually be a great introduction to the series for someone new. That's how well put together it is. But I'm really getting ahead of myself here, so let's start from the beginning. We see the main 6 starting to panic as they're trying to catch Rarity before she reads a review of her new boutique. And the way this story plays out is actually really different from any episode in the entire series thus far. It starts near the end, setting up an expectation that the main 6 are still trying to solve a problem that Rarity doesn't know about quite yet. And watching the story, you can't help but wait for things to fall apart. But then we get a flashback to the interview itself conducted by a pony version of J. Jonah Jameson, which then flashbacks even further to when the boutique is getting ready to open. And all throughout the episode, we bounce back and forth between the interviews and the chaos of cleaning and setting up with all kinds of hurdles along the way, and it works. It works so well. I couldn't help but be drawn into every scene with some clever new characters, constant gags in both the foreground and the background, all while keeping me interested in what might happen next. Again, you wouldn't think that such a bare-bones story setup would be all that entertaining. We've seen Rarity go through somewhat similar conflicts before, even with her friends trying to make it easier for her along the way. And if the MLP staff had kept this story structure just like all their other episodes, this entry wouldn't have been anywhere near as interesting. But as I've stated before, showing everything out of order with frequent jumps between each character while playing with your expectations and keeping you guessing at what might happen next was so effective here. I know this is supposed to be a Rarity episode, and I do enjoy seeing her start to freak out again, as well as her no spoilers line, which I'm sure is going to get used all over the fandom. But the rest of the main 6 each had their moment to steal the show, and for a nice change of pace, weren't just inserted into the story to be in the background. I've had my concerns before about including so many characters that there doesn't seem to be any reason for it, but this here is a prime example of how you can keep the story focused where it needs to be while also giving every pony a chance to shine. How many of us couldn't help but think Twilight's Sweep 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 is going to get turned into a music remix several times over during the next week, which was followed up by both Applejack and Rainbow Dash commenting how lame it was only to be chanting right along with Twilight a few seconds later. How many of us were enjoying Pinky's callback to Too Many Pinkie Pies as a nice bit of continuity, only to see one of the Pinky clones suddenly turn up right behind her? It made for a hilarious bit of comedy while also getting you to wonder just how many other Pinky clones might still be running around Equestria without anyone realizing it. Seriously, fanfic writers, get on that. Even Dust Bunny Fluttershy. I don't know why, but that's both funny and adorable at the same time. The secondary characters also had plenty of entertaining moments, and the cameos go by so fast, this episode really needs a second viewing just to pick up on all of them. Even the moral touches on a lesson that we really haven't seen in the series before. The fact that each of the main 6 in turn felt they should make decisions the way Rarity would, which led into even more great comedy from Pinkie Pie's shoulder angels by the way, made for a pretty good setup into remembering that a friend trusts you to make your own decisions using your own best judgment. Overall, I can't help but give the Saddle Row review my full recommendation for any fan of the show, and perhaps even for those who haven't been exposed to MLP before. It really speaks to both the great characters and the great writing when the story can play with your expectations while also keeping you thoroughly entertained. But what do each of you think? Given just how many fantastic lines and background gags were in this story, which one is your favorite? Could you guess everything that was coming in each scene, or did the episode succeed in playing with your expectations? With how many times we've seen Vinyl Scratch in the series, do you think she might spend so much of her time expressing herself through music because, perhaps, she might not have a voice of her own? I would like to hear your thoughts on the Saddle Row review, and here's looking forward to even more great writing in the rest of Season 6. I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Aw, that's sweet. I hate sweet. I need photos. Photos of Spider-Man.
This is a poetry journal.
Okay, then poems about Spider-Man. And I want them finished before you start. And before you finish, give me some coffee.